Everybody's houses are burning up. It's awful.
Your life's on the line.
A huge fire in Northern California is burning forests, destroying homes, and causing thousands of people to evacuate. A Los Angeles memorial for September 11 took place to remember the tragic event 14 years ago. People are trading lawns for native plants to help out with the ongoing drought in California.
This is Valley View News.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Nick Popham.
And I'm Alla Arapi.
California Governor Jerry Brown has declared a state of emergency as two fast-moving fires burn in Northern California. The fires in Lake and Napa counties have forced thousands to leave their homes. Authorities say one person was killed by the fire and 4 firefighters were injured while fighting it. Authorities also say the fire has already destroyed 400 homes and 10 businesses since it started. The cause of the fire was under investigation.
One of the most devastating events in U.S. history is the terror attacks on the World Trade Center 14 years ago. Valley View's Jordan Sauceda reports on the ceremony, which begins with a solemn prayer.
When we are weary and when we are in need of strength, we remember them.
Los Angeles police, firefighters, and political leaders remembered the nearly 3,000 victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. A piece of the World Trade Center lit in the middle of the fountain at Fire Station 88 served as the memorial for the day that left our country devastated.
This monument that stands in our city represents more than just a piece of fallen steel. It represents the people of our nation and our courageous spirit to persevere.
As day turned into night, dignitaries took the podium and shared their message to never forget and honor the fallen. There were also messages to the children in the audience to understand the importance of one of the most tragic days in American history.
The kids who are here, I think it's important to ask, as I grow up, will I be a person who, when the chips are down, when there's that moment of being tested, that I'll have the courage?
Retired U.S. Coast Guard Albert Epstein, accompanied by his wife Donna, says he believes in just that.
It's very important that we keep the memory alive so that we appreciate all of the liberties that our forefathers have given us.
This still means a lot to New Yorker Joe Lanza, the man who donated the building of the memorial.
It was devastating to see what happened, and I wanted to be part of making sure people never ever forgot that day.
A prayer concluded the ceremony in remembrance for the lives lost.
Because of the events of 9/11, we've been bound together by a silver cord of hope, brotherhood, and sisterhood.
God bless the USA.
It certainly is a tragic event in U.S. history that unites Americans across the nation to come together 14 years later to remember those who lost their lives that day. In Sherman Oaks, Jordan Sauceda, Valley View News.
During California's heavy drought, a nursery in Los Angeles is showing people how to choose plants that need little water. Serena Sandoval takes us there in this report.
Water is being put to good use at the Theodore Payne Foundation. The nonprofit organization is where you can replace thirsty lawns with native plants. These plants can help save water during our drought in California. Many plants are not native and require lots of water. The director of the nursery, Lisa Novick, who is very close to her plants, says there are benefits beyond saving water.
So you get a garden with life and movement and beauty and color year-round with native plants.
Studies say that a garden with natives uses 1/7 as much as a lawn.
All of the plants and trees you see around me are native. Staff here say not only do they preserve water, but they also help our ecosystem.
These flowers have seeds in them which help feed animals like birds. Connie Day, who is a regular shopper at the foundation, buys native plants.
So that our plants can take in carbon and save it and not put it up there where we don't want it. And so that I can enjoy watching the life that's on these plants. There's a lot of it.
These plants help support insects such as bees by providing fresh pollen. Having the most natural native flowers can not only help during this drought, but can also help the environment. In Sun Valley, Serena Sandoval, Valley View News.
Mayors of dozens of cities in both the U.S. and China have been working on a plan to promote clean air. The goals were set last fall by President Obama and China President Xi Jinping. The two countries agreed that the U.S. would lower its emissions by as much as 28% from 2005 levels by 2025.
People in Santa Monica now have a new way to get around town. Valley View News reporter Jacqueline Serrano has the story on LA County's first bike share program.
There's a new breeze in town, but this one has two wheels. Los Angeles has joined cities worldwide with its first bike share pilot program in Santa Monica.
Breeze Bike Share, like any bike share, is meant to be a segment of transportation, of public transportation, that's accessible to everyone. So think of it as being a bus or an Uber or a taxi.
A program that people have been looking forward to.
I've been meaning to get to a bike around here, so it's really convenient and really cool.
A lot of the community, I should say, in Santa Monica has been at the front of the line advocating for bike share for a good 4 years. So we're really excited that it's finally coming to fruition.
The Breeze Bike Share program began its test system in August with 7 hub stations and 32 smart bikes that will run till the end of the month. With the use of technology, users can get a bike by simply downloading the Social Bicycles app, choosing a plan, and entering the account number right onto the smart bikes. The program, funded by a grant from Metro, is trying to help with traffic by making traveling easier in Los Angeles. But the safety of cyclists in LA is still a major issue that's trying to be fixed.
So we've seen, miles and miles of extra bike lanes added in the last year, and a commitment to really make the streets safer and add more bike infrastructure as we move forward.
West Hollywood, Long Beach, and downtown LA are also planning to launch bike share systems in the coming months. The full-length bike share program that will feature 80 hub locations with 500 bikes is set to be launched in early November. In Santa Monica, Jacqueline Serrano, Valley View News.
Hundreds of people converged at a Los Angeles meeting to help stop a dramatic increase in violence. There have been nearly 200 people killed in Los Angeles this year. City Councilman Curtin Price says that they are going to take back their communities from violence. Many of the country's large cities have seen high rates of violence after years of low crime.
A history professor was shot and killed at Delta State University in Mississippi. The suspected shooter remained at large immediately after the shooting. CNN reported the shooting suspect may be linked to a second shooting in a Mississippi home. The campus remained on lockdown for several hours and classes were canceled for the rest of the day as well as Tuesday. More than 4,000 students are enrolled at the public university.
A Kentucky state trooper was shot and killed after a car chase. The suspect was killed in a confrontation a short time later. Trooper Joseph Cameron Ponder had pursued a suspect who fled from the traffic stop. The suspect was identified as Joseph Thomas Johnson Shanks. After a few miles, Johnson Shanks stopped abruptly and Ponder's car hit the back of the suspect's car. The suspect then shot at Ponder's car, hitting the trooper. Johnson Shanks was spotted in a wooded area and was shot by another trooper.
12 people, including 2 Mexican tourists, have been killed in Egypt. The Interior Ministry said they were mistakenly killed during an anti-terror operation. The tourists were traveling in 4 vehicles that entered a restricted zone in the western desert. The Mexican foreign minister confirmed that 2 Mexican nationals were among the dead. Egypt has been battling Islamist militants for years, and attacks on the army and police have increased since 2013.
1 million refugees may seek asylum in Germany this year. That's the estimate from the country's vice chancellor. He says that the number has gone up from the 800,000 expected arrivals. A surge of refugees in Germany has caused the nation to place controls along its border with Austria. Migrants fleeing violence in the Middle East and North Africa have sought refuge in Europe. Germany has been one of the first countries to welcome them.
A volcano in Japan erupted on the southern island of Kyushu. Mount Aso's eruption has sent smoke more than a mile into the air. Authorities banned people from approaching the volcano. Well, there are no homes in the immediate area, but Mount Aso is one of the most active volcanoes in Japan. It's also a popular hiking spot.
A clerk in Kentucky has returned to work after refusing to sign a marriage license for same-sex couples. Kim Davis refused on religious grounds and spent 5 days in jail. The United States Courts of Appeals had ruled that all couples have the right to be married. Even though Davis is back at work, she has filed an appeal over her jail sentence.
Legislation that would allow terminally ill Californians to legally end their lives faces an uncertain future. Senators approved the bill on the final day of the legislative season, but Governor Jerry Brown has not said whether he will sign it into law. Opponents of the measure say it could encourage ill patients to end their lives without exploring alternatives. The California measure comes after the case of cancer patient Brittany Maynard. She moved to Oregon to end her life legally under the state's right to die law.
3 dogs are dead following a break-in in the Jurupa Valley Animal Shelter. The Riverside County Department of Animal Services says at least a dozen more dogs are missing. It is still not known if the dogs had been killed by an intruder or by other dogs. An early test did not find bite marks. Video footage appeared to show a single man in dark clothing breaking into the shelter. The intruder did not appear to have entered rooms housing other animals at the facility.
Mayor Eric Garcetti's Great Streets initiative for Los Angeles installed its first ever parking protected bike lanes. But a major issue it faces is the lack of bikers using them. Valley View News reporter Ala Arabi shows why that might be.
Reseda Boulevard is one of the busiest streets in the San Fernando Valley. And last spring, this roadway was introduced to brand new bike lanes. These were placed here so that bike riders could have a safer path along the street. Protected by white posts and parked cars, cyclists don't have to ride between moving traffic and those parked cars, like this individual. The cycle tracks stretch a mile long from Parthenia Street to Plummer Street, so one would think it would be busy with cyclists. But here it is, empty. Cal State Northridge student Eric Daragosa bikes to school.
I don't see that many people using it as much as I feel like they should be, but maybe that's because I'm on off times or something. But yeah, it's a brand new path and I love it, so it's great that they have it.
Here is a group of cyclists at 9 in the morning, and here's another rider taking advantage of the morning hours, followed by another. But the limited amount of bike riders could be attributed to something else as well. California leads the nation in bicycle traffic deaths. A report by the Governor's Highway Safety Association found that in between 2010 and 2012, bicycle deaths increased by 16%, and in 2013, more than 700 people lost their lives in bicycle or motor vehicle crashes, the highest number of fatalities since 2006. Local bike riders like Phil say there are certain steps that can be taken in order to be safe on the road.
I just try to stay as far away from the other cars as possible, try to stay close to the curb. Just always keep your eyes open, always keep moving around.
These are just some of the precautions to take in order to get around safely. In Northridge, Ala Arabi, Valley View News.
When we come back, find out the winners of the U.S. Open, see if Floyd Mayweather held on to his undefeated record,
and learn why the New England Patriots are still amidst controversy in our sports report.
And now let's go to sports with Amy Martinez. There were plenty of surprises at the U.S. Open, weren't there, Amy?
Absolutely, Nick. Thank you. The 2015 U.S. Open has finally come to a close in a surprising way. That surprise came from the women's side as Serena Williams ran into an unexpected roadblock in the form of Roberta Vinci. Williams lost a semifinal match to the tennis veteran, making the finals an all-Italian event. Vinci eventually went on to lose the final match to 33-year-old Flavia Pennetta. This is the first major title for Pennetta, but it will also be her last. The champion announced she will retire at the end of the year. On the men's side, Novak Djokovic took the U.S. Open title for the second time after 4 sets against Swiss opponent Roger Federer. Djokovic brought his A-game to the pro-Federer crowd despite a scrape near the elbow after a hard fall early on. There was hope for Federer after he won the second set 5-7, but that hope was quickly shattered as his Serbian opponent came back strong with 6-4 wins in both the third and fourth set. The win is his second at the U.S. Open and 10th career Grand Slam. Floyd Mayweather Jr. remains undefeated and goes into history as one of the greatest boxers of all time. His victory over Andre Berto was no surprise considering Mayweather's won 48 straight matches and 12 world titles. During the post-fight interview, the champ shared some news with the audience.
Well, it don't really matter if I hurt my left and my right hand. My career is over.
It is. Is that official?
It's official.
Mayweather says he is content with his 49 victories and wants to enjoy his life. How about those Cowboys? The Dallas Cowboys are smiling for more reasons than their recent comeback victory over the New York Giants. Forbes magazine has just named the team the most valuable franchise in sports, with an estimated worth of $4 billion. Jerry Jones bought the team back in February for $140 million, and their value has jumped since by more than 1,000%. Real Madrid, the New England Patriots, and the New York Yankees all trail behind at a mere $3 billion in value. A former Philadelphia 76ers legend has died. Moses Malone was found in his hotel room in Norfolk, Virginia, after failing to show up at a celebrity golf tournament. The NBA Hall of Famer was the first player to join the league straight out of high school. He is fifth on the all-time leader list in rebounds, collecting more than 16,000 boards in 21 years. The Norfolk Police Department says there weren't any sign of foul play. He was 60 years old. That's it for sports. Back to you.
When we return, see who is the new Miss America.
And find out which singer has some bad blood with a radio personality in our entertainment segment. CSUN will be hosting its 15th annual Big Show on Saturday, October 3rd. Headlining will be hip-hop artist Tyga and DJ Carnage.
Arnolfo Romero is in the studio with one of the show's coordinators.
Thank you. I'm here with George Reyes, the president of the Associated Students here at CSUN, and we're going to talk about the Big Show. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
So let's talk about the Big Show. I know 9,000 tickets are being sold. Do you guys think you guys are going to sell out?
Yeah, we actually just talked about selling out this week, potentially. So we're really excited to make sure that we're going to sell out mostly to CSUN students, not just guests, but this year we see a lot of increase with student tickets.
So with such a large amount of people attending, we've heard about deaths and incidents occurring at music festivals like Hard Summer and EDC. What safety precautions is AS taking to make sure everyone's safe?
Definitely. Associated students, especially the productions team, oversee so many different trainings from safety, precaution, what to do in case of an emergency. This year, all of our staff, especially the student staff, the 5 producers that we have, as well as the assistants that they have, they're trained with TIP certification. TIP certification means that they are able to spot when someone is under the influence of either alcohol or substance abuse, and they can identify the risks as well as make sure to help them. And they're also CPR certified, and all of our volunteers this year will actually go through a training similar to that.
Let's talk about the performers. Tyga's presenting.
Yeah.
That's huge. How and why did CSUN choose Tyga?
Tyga was chosen from surveys that we do through Associated Students. So last year, if the students remember, there was an election questionnaire at the end of the election ballot. So students are asked what genre do they want or what artists are they thinking about if they click other. So a lot of students wanted hip hop and EDM. So when we were brainstorming with the productions team, a lot of names were dropped, and Tyga was dropped before last year. So we brought it again, and then we asked the students that we know are friends, and then it was a huge turnout that people really wanted to hear him, as well as DJ Carnage came on because of the EDM portion.
And I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this, but who's in the talks for next year?
We are focusing on this year, so we still want to make sure that we have a successful show. So right now there's no talks about the next year's artists, but again, we're going to have a survey at the end of the year so the students get to choose what genre and what artists they would like to see.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That's all we have time for.
Yeah, no problem.
Now let's go to Maria Leal with the latest in entertainment news. It sounds like Taylor Swift has some legal problems.
Yes, indeed. It seems like Swift will wind up in court. This year's LA County Fair offers many new rides, foods, and games for everyone to enjoy. Valley View News reporter Harry Abelson has more on what is expected to be the biggest LA County Fair ever.
This year's LA County Fair is off to a big start. Thousands poured in on Labor Day weekend to check out all the new attractions at this year's fair. Oscar Escalera says his family was really excited for the fair this year.
I've been coming to the fair for years. It's been a family tradition of ours. Usually every year we come out, we have a good time, the food, the atmosphere. The daytime's a lot funner than the night for us anyways as a family. Livestock show is really nice this year, and we've also noticed that there is a bigger presence of family.
Children had many attractions to choose from, including water rides, roller coasters, the Cyclone, and even bumper cars. With hundreds of rides and thousands of attendees, some people are saying this year's LA County Fair is making a big splash. And some of the smallest people like the biggest rides.
My favorite ride is the Ferris wheel.
The fair also featured a wide variety of food that included Hawaiian barbecue, a Krispy Kreme triple-decker cheeseburger, and fried, well, pretty much everything. The fair is also a tradition for vendors like Thomas Sanders.
We've been in business for 35 years, and I've always been in this fair, and been for, 22 years now.
But there were other special attractions at the fair that caught the attention of many fairgoers.
Seeing the farm animals and the cowboys and stuff in the back.
Fair officials say this could be the most attended LA County Fair ever. The fair will be swinging by each weekend until the end of September. In Pomona, Harry Abelson, Valley View News.
A Huntington Beach brewery has found an interesting way to deliver beer to their customers with the help of an old-fashioned truck. Valley View reporter Alexi Chibashian went to see the business owners and has more.
The sound of that whistle has been delivering more than just smiles as it cruises down Huntington Beach. A beer company is gaining much success due to its creative business technique. Ripco Beer Company is a microbrewery that delivers fresh homemade beer right to their customers' home.
Beer company.
Due to permit regulations, they are not allowed to sell on site. That is where the Helms truck comes into place. They hand deliver the craft beer to each customer over the age of 21.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely risky. We don't have a storefront, so it was kind of a challenge we faced at the beginning. The whole idea on the truck was that we could kind of do delivery and bring back the whole milkman idea, but bring it back with beer, and it was kind of just a really cool concept, and people really liked.
What makes this company unique is that they operate out of an old-style 1931 Helms Bakery truck. On average, they have roughly 200 home deliveries per month.
I don't think there's any other company out there that does that sort of thing. As far as I know, we're probably the first, which is pretty cool, and people seem to be pretty receptive about it.
The Helms truck is becoming a popular icon within the Huntington Beach community. The two brother-in-law entrepreneurs opened their business back in November and began selling in March of this year. One of the perks of their delivery system is that they deliver to people who are unable to drive.
We have an ABC license, a Title 23, a small beer manufacturer. So we're licensed through ABC, and our tasting room will be getting our conditional use permit. We already have our conditional use permit there, so that'll allow us to actually consume and pour on site with customers.
They're really big in the community and letting people know there's a Huntington Beach Homes and Happenings community forum on Facebook, and that's where I first heard about them. Immediately as soon as we found out we could order it to our home, not have to go get it ourselves. It was a no-brainer.
Next month, they will be opening up a tasting room where they will be permitted to sell their beer on site. They have even won a first-place award for the best beer. In Huntington Beach, Alexi Chibashian, Valley View News.
The reality TV series Project Greenlight has returned to HBO. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are co-producing the show. Damon says he thought it was a perfect time to bring it back now that technology has caught up with the concept. The show focuses on first-time filmmakers who are given the chance to direct a feature film. Project Greenlight will air Sunday nights on HBO. Taylor Swift is being sued by a former Colorado radio DJ. David Mueller had filed a suit after Swift accused him of touching her inappropriately. Mueller was attending Swift's concert with his girlfriend and went backstage to meet the star. Officials say Swift is claiming Mueller lifted her skirt and fondled her while she was taking a picture with his girlfriend. That photo is at the center of the dispute. Mueller denies any wrongdoing and says he was fired from his job because of Swift's allegations. Miss America CEO Sam Haskell made a rare public apology to a former Miss America. 3 decades ago, Vanessa Williams became the first African American to win the crown. She was pressured to resign after a magazine showed new photos of her without permission. Haskell apologized to Williams for the way the situation was handled, even though he was not involved with the pageant at the time. Williams supporters long suspected she was pressured into giving up her crown. She cried as Haskell said he was sorry. This was Williams' first time back to the Miss America stage, this time as a judge. After the apology, judges officially named Betty Cantrell Miss America 2016. Cantrell sang opera during the talent segment of the competition. She was criticized for the answer that she gave to a question about quarterback Tom Brady and the deflated footballs. She said she thought he cheated. Despite the criticism, the 21-year-old Miss Georgia beat 51 other pageant competitors. Cantrell took home a $50,000 scholarship. ABC's Dancing with the Stars is back. The season premiere introduced a new lineup of celebrities, including Nick Carter, Tamar Braxton, and Paula Deen, to name a few. During this season, viewers will continue to be surprised with guest judges who will join the permanent judges. The 2-hour premiere didn't eliminate any of the contestants, but eliminations will begin on week 2. So it sounds like it'll be a great season for Dancing with the Stars.
Thank you for watching this edition of Valley View News. I'm Nick Popham.
And I'm Alla Arabi. Have a great week.